start. Everybody wants to get comfortable here in the book hinge. You're in the right session if you were looking for Open to the Challenge. One university course. Join the open education movement.
Mandy, if you right-click on one of these red balls and select Use, I think you'll be sitting in the direction we all are.
All right, Mandy, come join us around the circle. Just to make sure, we'll get started now. So if you're going to do any private calls, make sure they're private, okay? Welcome to the Book Hinge, everyone. This is where we meet for my class, ECI 521, Teaching Literature for Young Adults, the course I've taken open. And I wanted you to see our space, our learning and teaching space. It's our sanctuary, we like to call it, for contemplating young adult literature. And I'm Chris Chrisman, aka To Be Writer here. You'll see me up near the front with my Book Hinge t-shirt and my hot pink streaked hair. So those of you in the literacy and or gaming will know the name of researcher James Paul Gee. In an interview with Henry Jenkins recently, he predicted that education has two possible routes to choose in the future. Either public education will continue its less relevant, Gee, instruction that educates students more or less for the service industries, while those who can afford better will find it elsewhere and pay for it. Or there will be a public sphere where everyone can learn and there are no limitations. And I quote, "We will have to reinvent a public sphere and transform our view of society, civic participation, markets, and what constitutes justice, fairness, and a good life." So that's the challenge. That's the challenge we're open to. ECI 521 is working to contribute to the public sphere of learning and opportunity. And I'm proud to say that the College of Ed at NC State was very receptive to giving this a go, open to the idea of expanding the course to the open public sphere. So this is sort of my framework, what I plan to talk about. And if you have questions that don't fit in this category, that's fine. There's plenty of open mics throughout, as well as just speak up whenever it seems this would be the time to ask that question. But I want to talk about where I got this idea for the open course, why, what my motivations were for opening up the course, what the open course looks like, what has been the response, and what kind of future plans I have now for the open course, that I've almost completed it this first semester. And all the resources that I mentioned throughout, I have created. Thank you very much, Balchai. I have created a DIGO group, and you don't need to be a member of DIGO to see it, but you can go in and take a look at my resources, and I'll also go back after this and add to it. Also have a note card with most of the resources that I thought of, and you can click on the blue wrapped with a big white bow box that's up on the granite rise, podium-like, right at the head of the book hinge under the slideshow. Okay? And did we mention, if you've just come, we are also streaming live. Just as we stream our classes, we're streaming live on Ustream. So if you want to go to www.bookosphere and see what, oh, thank you so much, and see what it looks like streaming, please do. So let's get started. Where did I get this idea? Well, you see, I took this MOOC. It was Plank 2010, Personal Learning Environment Network Knowledge, with George Siemens and Stephen Downs and Rita Kopp and with Dave Cormier. And I knew I needed this. I needed to learn more about networked learning and creating my own personal learning environment. And I'm so inspired now by this course, open online course, that I do think that to become a lifelong learner in our digital world, you must learn to be a networked learner. I think it's the most vital 21st century skill. So, did anybody think MOOC? That's it. Plink 2010 was a MOOC, and I want to ask you. That's good. Do you see this Instapoll over here? Let's see, it's right over here, right behind me here. What I want you to do is to read, I'll read it out loud too, the question and the answers, and then click on the corresponding bar, color bar, on the Instapoll, okay? So like if you think a MOOC is a, which is red, so you'll click on the red bar, maximum options open for computing, click on the red, green bar over there on the Instapoll, matriculation online via open clouds, C, that's the blue bar, most optimal open community, and then D is the yellow one. It's a massive open online course. So make your vote, please. Everyone, if you just arrived, we're voting on, yeah, okay. I'm seeing that yellow bar rise. We're voting on what we think a MOOC is. So we're getting a feel for how many people are familiar with MOOCs. Okay? So at least a lot of you have heard of MOOCs. Thanks. You never know with your audience, you know? So that's good. Just briefly, as far as I know, tell you a little bit more about MOOCs, or at least so you can see what I know about. You may have created MOOCs, but what I know about MOOCs, from my perspective, I think they were invented by George Siemens and Stephen Downes. You may know Stephen from the famous O.L. Daily, and they're usually massive. When I took the Plink 2010 MOOC, there were 1,600 people. And I have to give credit for my instructional designer, Tiki, in Second Life, who actually helped me out and told me when we were designing young adult literature for the web. Kathy Phillips helped out by helping to tell me about Plink 2010 and all these great things going on with George Siemens, Stephen Downes, and so that's where I got into it. Um, so Siemens actually said, I'd like to see other domains try the course format. Most open courses that I've seen have been somehow related to educational technology. Where's the mathematics MOOC or biology? Well, I created the first, George, this first in terms of teaching literature for young adults that I know of, okay? So the thing that drives me crazy, though, with the MOOC, and we were just talking about this in the last session for the Connectivist, Connected Learning MOOC that ended on Friday, course just doesn't do it justice. In fact, it confuses people when you call it a course because you get this course culture kind of thing where you think about, well, there's assessment, there's judging, there's expectations, you're pleasing someone else. But none of that is relevant in a MOOC. And so we got to think of a different name. It really is more like an event. Like Plink 2010 happens every year. Connectivist Learning happens every year. It's an event that I've come to look forward to. I'm really a MOOC junkie at this point. Now it is open, and it's open in terms of who can participate, everyone. It's open on the web, no walled gardens there. And it's open in terms of autonomy because you choose what you want to do and you have complete freedom to participate to the degree that you want to. And I have to recommend, you see the link there, Dave Cormier's video on YouTube is just excellent in informing you. That's where I actually got this slide, informing you about what a MOOC is, what it's all about. So participatory, you create and make your learning transparent. And you share and collaborate with others. Maybe not 1,600 others, but you develop this cadre, your network, within the huge course. It's distributed because, again, it's not tied, it's not locked within a learning management system, but it's wide open across the web. And I'm sure if you've ever Googled connectivism or a MOOC, you've seen some of Siemens and Stevens and others' work. It's all over the web. It's distributed in terms you're learning through your network with others. You're making connections. It's lifelong networked learning. You're developing this mindset, this way of viewing the world and learning that puts you in the driver's seat and means there are no speed limits. So again, take a look at the video. There's also, Stephen has created a MOOC.ca. Stephen and George, Dave are in Canada, and this is going to be sort of the meta MOOC. It's because we want to begin to let people know what MOOCs are going on. There's one going on right now called Moby MOOC. About mobile learning that you might be interested in. It just started last week, so it's not too late at all to get involved. And again, that's the thing about a MOOC. It's never too late to get involved and learn something because you're working at your own pace and at what interests you the most. I have got the best link dropper this morning. So let me go to the open mic here and see, has anybody here ever participated in a MOOC? Do you want to share anything about your experience with the MOOC or any questions about the MOOC? Again, this is just what inspired me, what gave me the idea. Wait time is interesting in Second Life. Just go ahead and speak up. First contact with MOOCs. Okay. It's an outrageous concept, isn't it? You create, put some content on the web and invite the world. Anybody else experienced MOOCs or any questions about MOOCs? Okay. Well, let me tell you a little about my motivations. This is my ECI 521 course page on Delta's website. And what I wanted for my students once I had experienced it was this networked lifelong learning. And I honestly don't think I give that to my students. I We use some Web 2.0 tools, but I don't think I'm helping them to develop a network or to learn what it feels like to be part of a network online. Um, so I think the best way is to go open with wikis, blogs, Twitter, a host of other Web 2.0 tools. And again, we use those, but blogging wasn't the integral part, and tweeting and getting to read and share. I and it's hard to do in a small class. I do understand why you need a massive open online course. And that was one of my motivations. I wanted to enlarge the group. I wanted to open things up so my students could begin to experience what networked learning looks like and feels like. I wanted them to get hooked on it. The other thing I wanted was that I wanted to move beyond the Moodle, and I wanted uh, because access to the artifacts and the resources in the Moodle are not as open. Have any of you ever had students write to you, or have you ever looked in your Moodle or Blackboard and seen in a past class, one that's finished maybe a year ago, that there are students who've been in the last few days, maybe even hours? I have, and I wonder, what are they doing there? And just recently at uh, in our what Delta had to do with, there were so many courses on Moodle, is began to close off that access to courses that were taught, a year ago. And I've had several students recently. One wrote to me, Angela, and said that how'd she say it? She said, thanks again for giving us access. And it's very easy to open up a course. Instructors can do it when there's need. I'm sure I have most of that stuff somewhere on my computer or flash drive, but it helps to have all my writings and projects in one place that I can access for that final project. So she's working on her final project, and several of them are, and they want access again. And that's why they were going in long after the course is finished, because they've created these artifacts, their products of their learning, and they need those again. It's all in one place. And that's what I want them to do on the open web. They're actually beginning to develop a brand when they have a blog, when the blog serves as their e-portfolio. They're owning their work, developing their brand, and they're sharing with others. So that's one of my reasons for moving out of Moodle. Another one of my reasons is, and for Meeting in Second Life certainly gives us this opportunity to invite anybody anywhere in the world to join us, to invite diversity. And I wanted basically three types. I wanted global diversity because I wanted students to have a chance to learn with others, from others' perspectives, from other countries. I have a first this semester. I actually have two students who were born out of this country, one in Lebanon and one in South Africa. What they bring to us is we read books about Persepolis or Things Fall Apart. When they share their perspective, having lived someplace outside our own country, and when they talk about how they learned about American culture and what democracy is, it enriches my course so much, our course so much. So I wanted that international representation, and it's a dream. I'm hoping. So far, I've had somebody take the course from New Jersey, but I'm hoping for an international representation. Um, Second, we don't have a School of Library Science at NC State. And I have always wanted, if you really want to create an actively literate school culture, I believe that we need to have librarians and English teachers and content, all and administrators. Everybody has to see that goal and work together. And that's why I've always wanted librarians as well as our English teachers, middle school and high school English teachers who take the course. To come together and to share. And so that's been tremendous, to have the librarians who have joined us. And then finally, and then, we've also had publishers and editors. I can see parents joining us as well as teens who want to hear about the latest books. And finally, more experienced teachers. When the MAT program started at State, I can have classes as I do now where I only have one experienced teacher. Now, she's very experienced, 30 years experienced, and I wish I could clone her. She is such an inspiration for us. She both brings a reality check and inspiration as someone whose passion has not dimmed at all. But if you have this competing noise with the owls and the seagulls, it can, yes, I understand, Patty. So what you'll do is go under Me and Preferences and go to Sound Media, and you can see that slider and turn down those seagulls. They can get pesky sometimes. Okay, so those are my motivations for wanting to take the course open. Now, well, for my students, from my students' perspectives, I wanted this for them. But I also wanted, because our class mantra is collaborate, create, contribute, I wanted to give back to the larger community. We always do this in class. We always, when we have a class project that we want to share, we do a big public event. And this serves as professional development for teachers. For example, we have, for the last 10 years, partnered, I'll go past the middle. We have partnered with a young adult literature group. They're actually a mock Prince. Prince is like Caldecott Newberry. Prince is the high school award. Okay? And every year they read over 450 of the latest books. So you can imagine what a resource when this teen book club, it's the Eva Perry award-winning book club, was the best literature program in the country in 2009, selected by American Library Association. They give us their short list of those 450. Our class reads them. We meet together in an Oscar-themed event, and we both stream it into the Book Hinge, okay, where we are now, so people can gather and chat with us and interact. And we also stream it on Ustream too. Now I got to go back to this picture. You got to see. You see, it sort of has that. We have these zombie eyes, when somebody's actually trying to take a bite out of somebody else. That's because the book of the year this year for us was John Mayberry's Rotten Ruin. Okay, about it was like a zombie apocalypse like you've never seen before. It was amazing. So we do these things, and we've always invited the public. Um, we also have an authors event. Every year, a well-known author joins us. So Laurie Halse Anderson, author of the famous Speak, as well as many other fiction and nonfiction books, joined us last year. And here's her Twitter response afterwards. Phew! The second live author chat was intense and fun. Time for a glass of wine, a book to read, and then much snoozing. And I've got to tell you, coming up, we will have Melina Marketa, who's an Australian author. She won the Prince Award 2007, I think, for Jellicoe Road. Her book this year is The Amazing Finnegan of the Rock. It's a epic fantasy, but she's going to be joining us in the book hinge. Again, one of the reasons I love Second Life. Authors are, if you can help them, because most are newbies, but they're very excited about trying out Second Life and trying out this meeting with their fans in a virtually immersive environment. Also, so on April 18th, we're going to meet with a little promo here. We're going to meet with Melina Marketa, and then on May 2nd, we're going to have our action learning reports, which are video reports. So that'll be really fun here for a celebration of our learning in the book hinge. So please join us. Now an open mic question. So you see, we've always done this, but now when you have the course, every course is open in Second Life, in Ustreamed. We have other guest speakers. So we have a lot going on that we want to give back and share with the community. So open mic. Think about your courses you teach. Is there, what do you think? Have I struck any nerves? Are there any reasons that you would want to take your course open? And you can type in the back chat or speak up. If you can think of any reasons that, be it the diversity or be it sharing with the world, any questions you'd want to, any reasons you want to take yours open. Be making mental notes. So let me tell you a little about what it looks like, what my course looks like. First of all, there is no Moodle, okay, for my course. I've taken it, and MOOCs can use Moodles. They certainly do. Plink 2010 does. I decided to take the course totally out of the Moodle. Again, my rationale is I want everyone to have their own space on the open web where they collect their work, their artifacts. Let's see, I have a question. Oh, good. Zeliana, pretty. Says I can see lots of reasons to make a course open, but how does this work fiscally for a university? I figured you're getting to this later. Well, you know, when I pitched this to the College of Ed, all right, I gave them my rationale, and and I also said, you know, I do hope that this will make the course well known, and we in terms of fiscally, it costs nothing. Students who join the course, who blog, tweet with us, who attend the sessions, um, pay nothing. So it's not any more work for me because I'm not assessing them. It's a win-win. So I don't see, and my college didn't see any question fiscally. And, you know, and the thing is, too, if we make the course well known, if people hear about it, when it comes time that they do want to earn a degree, or they do want credentials, they do want professional development in a big way, then maybe they'll come to our course. I mean, so there is a conversion factor, I suppose, but that's not the motivation. But thanks for asking. People may ask about FERPA too, because again, we're working totally out on the open web. We're using blogs. We're using lots of VoiceThread. Going open presented no other problems because we've been using all these Web 2.0 tools, and Delta is so ahead of the game. They're so into the future, and they saw that people were going to be using these Web 2.0 tools to supplement and extend Moodle. which is what NC State uses. And so there is a consent and privacy waiver that everyone signs when they first come to the Moodle. That's the only time my students go to the Moodle is to sign the consent form. And so they're well aware that their work is on the open web. And I've never had anyone ask any questions about that. So it works fine with FERPA too. Uh, I think about mid-semester I wrote in my course journal that things seem to click. People seem to be reading each other's blogs and commenting. I actually saw them begin to become networked learners. And that's my goal. I want them to see the value. I want to make networking such an integral part of the course that it's valuable and it becomes a lifelong skill for them, a lifelong viewpoint, way to learn. Um, I want them to see not just Web 2.0 tools, but I want them to see this as a space. Copyrighted materials that I may use in my lectures, it's open. Um, it is on Wiki, which has the Creative Commons, but it's totally open. Now, if any material that I might use that's on the open web, of course, is available to all students. We do have a textbook, and if people want to buy the textbook, they can. Some of the articles from it are available, for like $4.95 on Amazon. And and if any of the articles are cannot be shared, they are on e-reserves, but that's very few. So I haven't had a problem with copyright. It's a very good question. Thanks, John. Okay, let me share some of the ways that I help to enhance this network. Are you familiar with Net Vibes? So we have a Net Vibes going on, which is a one-stop shopping for seeing all the tweets, so you see Twitter, you see the videos that we do on YouTube, you see all the blog entries in one place. And so that's Net Vibes. And then you also see, I have a picture of the Bookhinge Daily, which is paperly, which will take, we don't use Facebook, some of you may, but Twitter, it takes Twitter and Facebook. And these are both sort of Net Vibes and Twitterly are both curation tools. And so I really love the way Paperly takes the daily tweets and puts it into a newspaper like presentation. It's really cool. And again, it's for those who just don't like to look down a Twitter line of tweets. It's really convenient and eye pleasing to see it all in one place with pictures and everything. So it's very cool. Um, what else does my course look like? You got the network thing going on. You've got a lot of creation of artifacts. We've got VoiceThread. We've got Bookcast on YouTube, which are responses to personal responses to books. We've got blogging going on. We've got wonderful poetry. A Set of Mobile Roots, Frederick wrote. He was born in South Africa. I stand as strong and proud as the African marula tree. My family history dates back 1,000 years. I was pleased. I was blessed with a gift not commonly found in marula trees, a set of mobile roots. How do I make the slideshow larger? What you do, Mason, is just right-click on the slideshow, and you'll see an option to zoom in, okay? So that should help you out. So this is what our course looks like. Again, a lot of creative artifacts, networking going on. This is what I can imagine that I can have, not 1,600. I'd be happy with, 30 people. Just to enlarge the group and add diversity to it and share what we're learning.
Tubi,
Yes.
this is Stanley. I'm curious about assessment, or do you have formal assessment of all of those students? You said 1,600 students. that that's very scary. So how does that
Oh,
work?
well, don't be scared at all. 1,600 was in the plink. Um, and in an open course, like my students, open course students, I don't assess at all. I mean, if they were to ask for some feedback on a blog entry, I might comment on their blog entry, but I don't do any assessment. My registered students, my university students, we have what we call RAPs. We do every week. They reflect on their work in a reflective assessment portfolio that's on Google Docs for me and them. So we write then. And it's sort of like a personal letter to each other each week. So the assessment just is just for the registered students. The
Okay.
open students, no, I'm not. Don't ever have imagine having to assess those either. But it's a really good question, and it would be frightening. So let me tell you a little about the response. Okay, so you see here are icons of all of the classes this semester. Well, I think there's several pages, but a page of on Ustream. Okay, so they're archived. Um, and quantitatively, when I look back at these classes and I look at the number of open course students who came, I can't really say that there were a lot. In fact, back on February 24th, I was commenting on Lisa M, and she's one of my network that I met in my Plink MOOC. She did a blog entry called "The MOOC That Wasn't." And she lamented because she's doing this online history course. She teaches at a community college and nobody came. Nobody was interested. And she's going, well, was it because it's history? Or was it because there were no synchronous classes? I do think an open course needs synchronous classes. Some people like to get together. You need that social presence. Okay? And so what I can say, and this is what I wrote back to her, though the open course participants are few in ECI 521, each one is making a real contribution. Linda, our middle school librarian who joins us each week in the book hinge and brings a valuable perspective to English teachers. I mean, she tells us that boys like nonfiction. She can, girls like it too. She tells us about the latest graphic novels that are just, must be checked out, can't stay on the shelves. Irene, our retired librarian who's often sharing resources and modeling the use of social media. Lourdes, our YA Lit fanatic who shares her good read list, and a few others who've joined us for our big live streaming events. Is my open course successful? Not in numbers, but the benefits for my university students are well worth the effort. ECI will be open from now on. So I sent out, how much of time do you spend helping the non-registered students? Not a lot with technical problems. What I do, I have actually offered, we do a beginning session orientation where we teach them about Second Life and create avatars and all that. But as far as technical work, no, I haven't. Technical support, I haven't. What I do find, and what Lisa had said is, Chris, I bet you're not getting a lot of people because I bet Second Life is scaring them away. And actually, it's the opposite. I just, in fact, it's still going on. I have a survey out. I had 36 people respond saying they wanted to take the open course. They were so excited. And again, probably I've seen evidence, strong evidence of maybe 5 or 6 people who've participated, okay? That's not bad. With Plink 1600, Plink 2010, 1600, there were approximately 50 to 60 who were strong participators. So people participate to the degree they want to, and not always publicly. So I had people who wanted to learn Second Life, and that's what brought them to the course, not scared them away. One said, I really thought the Second Life course was an awesome, awesome way to present content. I need a little more practice with Second Life. The processor on my computer needs updating. Please keep me on your list. I want to try this again sometime. And that overwhelmingly on my responses, it wasn't Second Life. People said they used the website as a resource, but most people, like my one soccer teacher, a soccer coach and English middle school teacher said, you know what, Chris? Life just happens. I meant to do it, but it just got the better of me, okay? I had to work on a $500,000 grant. I had to devote myself to my national boards. So, and maybe they're just being nice, but I know the feeling myself. I once tried to do 3 MOOCs at one time. Life just happens, so best intentions. So, but I would like to think that next spring when I offer the course, that there are people who are interested and ready to go. And so I've created a Google group for that reason. So, any other questions? Some good ones so far. Any other questions about how the course works, what kind of response, assessment, anything you can think of? Do you think that there would be an interest in your course, in any of your courses as an open course? Why or why not? Or would you have a MOOC that wasn't, the way Lisa did? Feel hard to imagine. What course would this not work for? Thank you, John. I agree. Definitely agree. I only see win-win. It is no extra work. At least I haven't seen it. And it enriches the course so much. I look forward to getting some international friends in. The only thing is, a history course, a young adult lit, they're very specific. You're not going to have hundreds of people, but that's okay. I love the idea of going global. You see, if you want to see what it's like to have, and many of you do, how many of you have class in Second Life? That might be interesting. Methods for convincing administrators. Why would a student pay for a course when they get the material for free? Because they want the credentials. If we create this public sphere where learning is free for all, and there's a People's University, there's several universities, peer-to-peer. It's not a university, but it's peer-to-peer. University is one that provides courses free for people anywhere in the world. If we make learning free and equitable distribution, what you pay for are the credentials. Okay, so it's a different way of looking at it. And the same question came from administrators, and when I explained that, they said go for it. Any other questions? I love the idea. Think about those that cannot afford but want the knowledge and not the credential. Exactly. I mean, there's even talk now of the open PhD. That's a can of worms. Oh. Accreditation concerns? I can't imagine any. I think I think it could only enrich the courses, and as long as you're meeting the standards. Ziliana, but doesn't this contribute to the popular attitude that students are just paying for a degree? Oh, sorry. Well, no, I love devil's advocates. Students already get upset that they don't sometimes pass courses they paid for. No, I don't think so, because I think that, again, it's a different mindset. It's beginning to see that, yeah, you are paying for the credentials, but you're also demonstrating that you're learning. And again, they're doing the assessment. You still have the rigorous assessment that's going on too. They're getting much more than the open students are, but yet the open students are getting what they need. The SACS assessment, again, it hasn't come up yet, and I don't foresee a problem, but I think that's good, John, to be looking at all the angles. So I appreciate that. Any other questions? Well, let me do my little wind up then, and then I'll be around too in case there are questions. Now we've all heard of Prinsky's the digital immigrant native thing. I personally resent that totally. I don't think it has anything to do with age. Ajax here has a friend who's Earl, who's 90. And he is loving technology. There are plenty of kids we know who use the technology but mindlessly and haven't learned how to use it to learn. I much prefer the metaphor that David White uses of the visitor and the residents. And here you see, I don't want to say two ugly Americans, here you see two visitors who are obviously out of place and gawking. Um, and here you see someone who is becoming a resident, someone who is feeling comfortable learning anywhere he goes. And that's what I want for my students. And that's what I think open courses can do. I think that we come to Second Life. All of you know we came to Second Life as visitors. But now, hopefully, many of us are beginning to feel like residents. They call us residents. I feel like I live here part of the time at least. I want my students to feel like the web is a space to learn. It's not a collection of tools, and that it's open for learning and sharing, and a beautiful place to be, to really feel comfort in learning. Thank you, John. Because if we feel comfortable and we become residents, if we're lifelong networked learners, then we can support our students in their evolution as lifelong networked learners. We can create that public sphere for learning. So again, I'll be around for questions, comments, positive reinforcements. Anybody have any of those too? Let me see my comments coming in. Course, it's harder to translate. Yes, it would be. I would love to have an open graphic design. In fact, right now I'm taking an open course called Digital Storytelling with the fanatic and amazingly brilliant Jim Groom at the University of Maryland. I have learned so much about graphic design and digital storytelling. So take a look. I have linked in that DIGO group lots of MOOCs that I've participated in. And again, Stephen Downs is creating the MOOC.ca where there'll be a collection of those, the MetaMOOC. Um, so thanks everybody. Let me give you my contact information here. Please stay in touch, and I'm happy to share anything I've learned the hard way about creating an open course. Great to see all of you here this morning.